even though the one finished higher than CE, CE continued to dominate in terms of pretty much every statistic, which is fantastic to see. But still very scary. You did mention the interviews that were at the Eastern Clash as well during the Oracle series, which is fantastic, all available on the Heroes Esports YouTube channel. You can see that you could see during those videos that when asked about the other teams in China, SPT were very confident in saying, we're always nervous playing against CE. They always give us good matches, and they always can bring out something unexpected.
Yeah, definitely true. If you would be a fool if you ever counted out CE in China as a team, because
especially on this map,
especially on Towers of Doom, which used to be one of the few, or they used to be one of the few teams who would run into this battleground willingly in 2016 and early 2017, when it was considered to be a rather exotic choice for the most part. However, now the one against CE, the rematch, a little rematch, if you will, from the playoffs that took place a couple of months ago. Can the one continue their streak against one of the two top dogs of China, or is CE going to take back what the one stole from them?
Sensible ban, considering when you have a tank like CE's either KTY, even though he is the flex player, but he's also pretty fantastic on that tank hero, or of course you have Wind, you could have some insane material plays, and he was absolutely one of their favorites for like 2 seasons.
Garrosh, of course, is now a hero that we have to consider. Wind next to maybe Timeless in last phase was one of the warrior players that always played him, and here he is, Wind, probably one of the best, if not the best Garrosh player in China. And that was one of the rare instances in which we could see even Korean teams having respect of CE when Wind was on that Garrosh. I can't recall which team it was, but during one of the player interviews, they actually said, as long as we ban away the Garrosh against CE, we should be fine, because China likes to run so much early game aggression with it.
With the Tracer as well, that is going to be good. Both Tracer and Maiev, by the way, sneaking their way through the draft. So yeah, Tracer being picked up is a sensible one. If you have the choice between Tracer and Maiev, it's a pretty tough decision, especially if you're planning on going a Garrosh. Of course, Umbral Bind into Warlord's Challenge is pretty good. So instead of having to make the decision of what works best for their comp, they took away the tool that would work best for the enemy comp. Tracer and Malfurion is the go-to combo, so removing one of the important parts of that, it being the Tracer, is very sensible. Now the one picking up the Hanzo. Are we going to see Maiev to go with it? No! Muradin is picked up. Maiev is just let go.
Wow. Maiev is absolutely ignored. I think we saw that take place in Europe the other day, where she was actually a last pick. And oftentimes teams, it goes both ways, right? On the one hand, Maiev is a very potent enabler. She locks down high mobility targets like, let's say, a Hanzo, a Genji, or a Tracer if she doesn't have recall. On the other hand, your playstyle is very predictable, to the point at which many teams have actually seemed to find a way to play around the Maiev. Oftentimes, Maiev players like to lay the foundation for a Wombo combo with heroes or abilities like, let's say, the VP or a Ring of Frost, something along those lines. But if you play around it and you take a lot of disengage, like Junkrat, Garrosh, then all of a sudden you will find your capabilities as a Maiev severely crippled. And CE is not afraid of it. They could, first of all, take it themselves after the skin ban phase, or they're just going to play around it.
Abatha, second best heroes who synergize with Tracer here, being hovered as the ban. So for reasoning that you could see these, for example, as being good heroes with Tracer, as opposed to the usual Tassadar, who's like number 3 at this point. Malfurion, you heal Tracer, she can go in. Your heals will keep ticking. Malfurion doesn't have to be out of position to heal Tracer like a load of other healers. Same with Abatha. He can symbiote Tracer from anywhere on the map. He doesn't have to put himself in danger to do so. So Tracer can do her usual get in through the backline and ruin people. So this is why those heroes are so popular with her. Tassadar is similar due to being able to shield Tracer and get her back up to full health and keep her from exploding. Issue with that is Tassadar's shield duration got nerfed a very long time ago, and Tassadar himself has fallen out of the meta.
The thing is, every time Tassadar was taken at the Eastern Clash, it performed much better than the experts and analysts were giving it credit for. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Tassadar still coming in there, and that's exactly what they're doing. So Tassadar, the oldest companion of Tracer, if you will, is now being deployed as well. And if you think about it, Garrosh, Tracer, those are two heroes that will get insane value from the shields for different reasons. Obviously, the Tracer going for the massive healing, but as you said many times before, Tetcher, the Garrosh synergy with Tassadar is insane too, isn't it?
Yeah, due to the fact that I know something's being changed about shields and armor, but I can't remember exactly what it is. But currently, as the stage of the game is in, armor stacks on top of shields, basically, meaning that your armor amount for when on Garrosh depends on how much health you have. If you, say, have 25 armor and Tash shields you, that does not count as healing. Your armor amount will not lower, and the armor will affect the damage your shield takes.
So it basically takes you longer to crush the shield of Tassadar, longer than anyone else. So that's really cool synergy to see between those two. And if you think about the other tools that Tassadar brings to the table, good wave clear, solid scouting, interrupting on rotations, he just becomes a vastly underrated hero in my opinion. And look at that, Zeratul being picked over the Maiev. So the VP is here, and Stukov proves to be the last pick this time around for 365 on CE. Now this is going to be such an interesting draft by both teams. Maiev completely shut down, completely ignored, and we have, of course, with KTY on CE, a magnificent Tassadar player. He, in my opinion, is one of those players that should pick the Tassadar, where other players like Melody C shouldn't, because when they play the Tassadar, their magnificent potential is oftentimes ignored.
Something happened in this draft that happened in one of the earlier games as well, and I'm still a little irritated about.
Okay, go for it.
Again, Tychus is ignored and Junkrat is chosen over. Junkrat's great, don't get me wrong on that, but literally CE focused on getting rid of every single percentage damage dealer. They banned Leoric, they picked Malthael. And they left Tychus open. That was the target here. Instead of Tychus being picked, which is sustainable, it has decent armor if it gets stunned by Garrosh, meaning it has a chance to survive Tracer Burst. Has the Neosteel plating, which again survived Tracer Burst from the bomb. Instead, we see Junkrat, who is made out of paper mache but highly mobile. And no percentage damage. I am confused as to this decision.
I'm pretty sure Ballistics SDE would like to have a word with you, because he is a dedicated Tychus main, undefeated, I think, in the first phase of HGC Korea on that hero, doing so much work at the Eastern Clash with it as well. So there's already a little bit of a shifting in trending or in trends in hero preferences between China and Korea at the moment. No more Tychus really here, not even against a Garrosh, which we were kind of wondering before, like why it wasn't deployed. But there seems to be something about Junkrat that Chinese teams really like and enjoy right now. So let's see who's going to come out on top of that game for game one between TheOne and CE. On the left-hand side in the blues, we see the team that took place at the Eastern Clash, TheOne, with Hugo on that Zeratul, Lucky plays Junkrat, Meng on that Hanzo, ZJZ on the Malfurion, and Hihi on Murden.
And on the right, it is Challenge, and it's going to be Alufal on Tracer, Wind on Garrosh, 365 playing the Stukov, KTY on Tassadar, and Zuyu is on the Malthael.
All right, double support, a touch of double support, as I want to call it. Not two main supports, but 1.5, if you will, with Tassadar fulfilling this semi-support slot that has almost vanished in Heroes of the Storm completely. Tyrande sees hardly any play at all, and Tassadar, although he has become a rare sight, actually not really doing too shabbily as of late. For now, though, Wind on that Garrosh, a might, a force to be reckoned with. How much of a difference can he make? And also, we can't forget about Alufal Tetcher, former support of CE, absolute god-tier ranged assassin in China at the moment, and probably one of the most fearsome tracers you could possibly meet.
Exactly, but in terms of fearsome heroes, Hugo, one of the best melee assassins in the game at this point, is currently getting himself a kill. Nice rotation by Hihi, and first blood is taken onto Malthael.
Yeah, and the patience by Hihi with that Stormbolt was so cool to see there as well. Oftentimes, when you land those skill shots, or when you try to land those skill shots too early, it's very easy for the opponent to just juke it and dodge it. But here, he was patiently waiting for the Malthael to use the dash onto a minion, and then landed when it was safe to do so. Point blank range, really well done here. And first blood goes over to TheOne.
So, interesting factor here. In the past, when you would see Tassadar versus Zeratul, oh, this is familiar. Dodging, minion wave arrives, not enough for a block again, and Zuyu is not going to die this time. Barely survives and is actually able to drop Hugo horrendously low. But what we used to see when we saw Tassadar going up against a Zeratul is we used to see Tassadars going for mental acuity, getting that cooldown reduction on the Oracle, allowing for vision, continuously spotting that Zeratul. Difference is, stealth doesn't work that way anymore. Now it's very easy to see stealth. So instead of just guessing where the enemies are or potentially missing them, it's very easy to see them, and you can just use a Psy Storm to reveal them. So it's a little bit less likely we will see the mental acuity these days, and it's more likely we'll see something like the extra range on shields in the form of the psionic protection or the resonation, those extra slugs.
All right, by the way, something we didn't really talk about just yet is Hugo's hero choice here on that Zeratul. I think it's the first time on stream that we are able to see him on that particular hero, because in the last phase, he is China's Illidan god, walking amongst mere mortals. Like, when he plays that hero, it's a pleasure to see. It's what he's known for. Even Korean teams respect him on that hero. He actually took a game of Blossom there at the Eastern Clash when he was in that hero. He also played a lot of Sonya, a lot of Leoric, and that was basically his trinity. The three heroes that Hugo really did well on. But now, the biggest weakness for the player was his hero pool, and he's working on it. He's trying to go with what is currently meta, and that is Zeratul. So cool to see that deviation coming in.
Malthael taken out again, and we gotta hope this is not tilting him in any way, because he is throwing shade at the enemy team, hopefully, as opposed to his team with the level 4.
All right, and there goes Junkrat.
Oh, so close.
Oh, Lucky missed the first one, but the second hit just fine here. In the meantime, the bottom altar is still fought over. So is the top one. Alufo falling dropping so low against Meng. And we talked about this before. Hanzo, as long as he doesn't get pressured on with the spike bomb later on, his long auto attack range and the huge damage coming in from those is so good to keep Tracer at bay.
So in theory, this should be a fight that should be won by CE. The 3 versus 2 in this top lane, as long as they don't die, should work out. Malthael's going to gain more stacks. Okay, except if they don't die. 1 for 1 though. Malthael. Oh my god, is he going to do it?
Win this,
Zuyu picks up 1. Yep. He's looking for a second. He's dropping low. Teleports in, but Lucky's dropping the damage. He can't get the drain, but Lucky is
no way.
Here comes Tracer, and Lupo picks up the kill. Looking for He, chasing him down, but He is mounted. They think he's ported. He ain't ported. He has run back to base, but still, it is going to be a 2 for 1 in terms of ulters in favor of CE.
This was such a clutch moment there for Zuyu, and that is the power of Zuyu. One of the best players in China when it comes to mechanics. Used to be a ranged assassin player, now he's the melee flex. But that is the power of Malthael there as well. The strong sustain, the strong consistent damage overall, preventing Muradin from healing up, and he played it perfectly as well, using the dash at the very right moment to drop that last second Stormbolt. Fantastically done, Hanzo. The cleanse doesn't work. I'm in here. So the toss is good. And CE Tetra is back in the building.
Yes, they are beautifully done here. And that's such a big deal that that fight actually went how it did. Not just for the fact that they were able to get the 2 for 1 and get a little bit of an XP lead, but Malthael, after dying so much, was going to be struggling for stacks. Getting throwing shade and having that fight last a really long time and also winning it, he got so many stacks of throwing shade.
Very true. So this is going to be a fearsome Malthael. One that is currently ganged over and over again by He and Hugo. So those two definitely have a word to say to Zuyu. But in the meantime, it's not like CE isn't getting any counter value. They're putting a lot of pressure on the bottom lane respectively. So mirroring what the one is trying to do in top, they are doing in the bottom. Now, He is a tanky dwarf. Can't be tossed like that. He's also pretty heavy, I imagine.
Very true. Silly Malthael. It's supposed to be Tracer who feels deja vu as he heads back up to top lane again. Zeratul's already up there as well. Those two will duel each other for a bit. Hanzo, sharpened arrowheads even with a full Q build, interestingly. This is fun in terms of mercenary fights or minion or fights in lane, because it means that the explosive shot does actually apply sharpened arrowheads, I believe.
Yeah, very true. So we could see AoE armor reduction spreading when we see the Q explosion. Meng on that hero, a deadly player, one of the best in China. Now He trying to channel it through. Alufo against Lucky. That is an Overwatch duel if I've ever seen one. The shields on Malthael so huge as well. Once again, Zuyu is dodging the Stormbolt like an absolute champion.
Alufal gets hit by the Sonic Arrow here. Shield from Tas, leeching plasma time, right back up to almost full health.
Yeah, dodging the grenades here.
Oh my god, that chunk though. Oh my god, that chunk though. Shield is dropped. Good dodge. Alufal's out.
Oh my goodness, so clutch for Alufal there. Not even the Tassadar shields made him comfortable enough to keep up the fight. And here comes the Riptire. Level 10 is here for the One. They can now easily dominate the perimeter here. Really well done. Meng is channeling it through. The Riptire is having a good time.
Zoning Riptire. I love it. I love it so much. And that is going to be the shots going over to the One. They're still behind, but those shots were very important on keeping them in the game because they did lose mid lane.
That they did. Now level 10 is available for CE. What are they going to pick? We see the Quantum Spike. What else? It's not, you know, the Tracer update is not live yet. The nerf hasn't been applied just yet, so it's still the go-to. We see Last Rites coming in for the Malthael against heroes like Zeratul or Muradin. This can be very good, especially when there's an elusive target. Guess what? You can run away from enemy abilities, but Last Rites is the only exception, can run away from death in that case.
Yeah, you have to rely on your team to heal you up, in which case Malfurion, not the quickest in terms of healer, so it doesn't actually have the burst potential that might be needed. Wouldn't be surprised to see Malfurion himself, in fact, going for Ice Block for that reason. Even Zeratul could not save his team due to the fact that I believe Last Right's progress is paused by Void Prison, so that would not help here.
No. It just delays the inevitable. If you're low, then the Last Rites will execute you once the VP expires. For now, CE actually going in with an aggressive mercenary invade. The toss is good, keeping Hehe at bay, but Tracer falling victim to the Twilight Dream.
We're probably going to see Wind go down as well. Riptire damage, actually tanky Garrosh. It's KTY who is targeted instead, having already used his Dimensional Shift and Archon, so all his survivability. 2 kills picked up by the One here.
And that's exactly what we talked about during the draft, didn't we? The power of shielding Garrosh, who's currently low in HP. The Riptire barely just scratched the surface of that shield. Didn't really do that much more, and that is already a testament of how tanky the Orc can become with the help of a Protoss.
The silence is good, body blocking him in it. Lovely taunt. Muradin, no chance into the fray. Zuyu moving forward, zoning out. And that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade in terms of ulters, and CE holds onto their lead.
And this is exactly the way CE wants to execute this combo. Silencing and rooting people in that lurking arm, and then using all that tank blow up with Last Rites and Quantum Spike. Not even Muradin can withstand all that pressure, especially when he can't even use Avatar. So that was a masterclass engage for CE, but also due to the nature of the terrain, due to the nature of the map, it makes it a little easier because Muradin can possibly escape to the side when there's a choke point, which there are plenty of on Towers of Doom.
Steel Trap activated, immediately healed up by Stukov, nicely done. Stukov's pretty high up there, I'd say he's like number 4 or 5 in terms of top heroes to be paired with Tracer. Not ideal, but definitely can fill in the role.
Yeah. That's for sure. Like, he's not, as you said, he's not a Malfurion class support for her, but due to the fact that he's got low cooldowns on his healing and he can manually time it, he's definitely going
man taunt. The 3-man Dragon Arrow. Tassadar having to Dimensional Shift, getting chased down, has to Archon and will survive the concussion. Mind Wind is being dropped low here. Stukov was just detonated while he was trying to Flaming Swipe to give his team a chance to survive. He did save his team, and it's going to be a 1-for-1, and Throwing Shade has now been completed.
That was absolutely bananas. Like, the long-distance Dragon's Arrow hitting 3 to 4 people, joined in by the Riptire as well. So much damage now. Garrosh in trouble. Actually, the Concussion Mine saving him for now. Gets the shield. Is he going to make it?
Oh, Tass over the wall. The shield is good, but no, not enough. Now Tracer is really far forward. Has to retreat back to her team, but you can see how long Garrosh could survive with all that armor. Pass mistakes. Shield's good.
Oh, my goodness. Oh my goodness, 365 for the golden save on his support friend here. That was... they salvaged this situation quite nicely because although they were trying to go for a flank and although the One were caught in the opposing half of the map, it was still the fact that they were so strong as a 5-man unit, they could have probably taken out several CE members if it weren't for the clutch healing and shielding from the support players.
Tassadar finally completes that nice little mana psionic synergy there. As we can see Lucky continuing to gain XP for his team. He has a full level lead, looking to make it a talent lead as well as they race towards level 16. Win just short of that Groundbreaker.
Right, and really starting to get a little worried here for CE. On the one hand, of course, they still have a power spike at 16, especially with Tassadar being able to land double storms, and at level 20 even with the Infinite Archon. There is a lot of you know, oomph still left for them. However, TheOne is starting to pull ahead more and more. Hugo actually with a 2-man VP, that could be huge with the roots. Oh my goodness.
The Dragon Arrow was perfect. Flailing swipe did not enough to save Garrosh. 2 kills picked up by TheOne. With Sappers in tow, they will take down this bell tower.
And you know what? Remember what I said about the player interviews earlier when he just didn't really give a lot of credit to KSV Flag, calling them a bad team? That's literally what he said, according to the translator. Because we actually asked twice, like, is that really what he just said? And now, on the other hand, they're taking a page out of KSV Black's books. A huge effort there by Zhu. No way he's going to make it out alive. No.
Yeah, he will. He's Zhu. You give Fave Kendrick's wish as they move on to Hehe, who has to pop the avatar. 365 will not be so lucky. In comes the assistance, but Zuyu is looking for an escape route here. He's been knocked off his horse, which was his main escape route with On a Pale Horse. Drains out and finally taken down by Meng.
And also providing the full quest now for Hanzo. All shots are fired, and now we have extra damage on the Q and a longer range there as well. And despite a flashy kill, hold that thought. Speaking of flashy kills, Alufal just took out Hanzo.
And that's driving him back. And even if CE grab this ultra as well, they're only going to come out 1 shot ahead in terms of the amount that were taken in this team fight, due to their shots only being worth 3 and the enemies being worth 5. If they get this, they will have made a total of 6. But that's still value. It's still coming out ahead, and they were already ahead in the first place. Now they've got those shots. They have survived, mostly, this entire scenario as Alufal gets chunked. But now they have the opportunity to move down the bot lane. Good lord, Alufal barely surviving again. But now they can move down to bot lane and potentially try and retake back their bell tower.
The show-off here between Alufal and Hugo, 2 of the most illustrious assassin players of China, definitely trying to prove once and for all who's the better one. In the meantime, we see the boss now being potentially tackled by CE. If they do so, however, they're going to be fast here. Otherwise, those zappers are going to go through. But even if they go through, they would still get a better trade with 4 shots straight against 3. But nope, looks like they're not taking the risk. Looks like they're going the safe route. They're trying to defend against the mercenaries in the bottom.
Yeah, they brought everyone down here. Luckily, Garrosh is on their side. Otherwise, that could be a disaster. Garrosh actually very good at throwing enemy mercenaries in. Here's the Warlord's challenge into the silence. There's the Dragon Arrow, but not enough to save Muradin. They did burn 3 heroics to get that. But the fact is, they got the kill, and they're looking for more. Looking for ZJZ. They get him as Alufal gets 1. He's looking for a second here. He's shielded up. Meg is the target. Nice bomb, and that's going to give him the chance to escape.
Oh, that was so well played. Muradin was almost out of the lurking arm, but Garrosh said, no, you stay here, little dwarf, and tossed him right back in there. Couldn't even use Avatar. Not even sure if that would have saved him because of all that percentage damage coming in there. Quantum Spike is already back at it again, Tetcher, and CE starting to find their rhythm, starting to get a good grip on that game.
As we see Tassadar holding down the mid lane. The Altar spawns in the perfect position for CE. They're just regaining control of bot lane. Gives them the chance to fight over it again in the future. Tassadar soaking XP for them. Not as much as TheOne were just able to soak. And once again, TheOne continue to hold their XP lead. But the shot's already taken and Tracer scouts out the boss.
Okay, Core is still sitting at 14. This is definitely one of the closer games in terms of core health that we're about to see and that we're witnessing right now. 14 to 19, and both teams getting very close towards that level 20 Storm Talent tier. The boss could sooner or later become a point of interest for both teams. Now, I do want to say that there's now double storms available for Tassadar, and this is so huge. Not just in terms of wave clear, but also in terms of zoning, discovering where Zeratul might be coming from. It's easily one of the strongest talents for Tassadar in his kit.
We saw Garrosh there taking a pretty significant chunk of damage. Not as much as Tracer, though. Garrosh able to heal up, and Alufal also healed up quickly by Stukov. Vigorous reuptake, very much helping out with that as Hugo gets revealed and zoned out. This is the joy. You don't have to take that mental acuity for the extra rate, the extra cooldown reduction on your vision. You can see him anyway, as long as he's moving.
You don't even have to use Oracle. You can save that for, you know, skirmishes around the altars, so you know exactly where the enemy team is going to engage from. So really cool to see how Tassadar becomes this dedicated Zeratul counter by not even using Oracle, and it also brings back a touch of alpha and beta of the game when Tassadar was picked every single time Zeratul was deployed, so the old Protoss rivalry has been revived. Now, CE still half a level behind. They still need to get that tiny little chunk of experience if they want to fight on even terms, while TheOne are already posturing up for that bottom temple.
CE, though, are in a position where they can rotate down to it pretty reasonably, but it looks like they might want to either sneak top XP with just Malthael. That does look like the plan. And they will then be able to rotate down to bot lane. So now they just have to survive until 20. This is the plan. Get 20, which is now achieved, and hopefully get Malthael down here before anyone dies. Instead, they're going to be the ones getting the kills. Someone will die, but it's the enemy.
Killing off Zeratul there is so huge. Now that basically shuts down any more fighting coming in from TheOne. When your main initiator, your main damage source next to Hanzo is no more, then you're just going to have to defend. However, they're still untouched for the most part, whereas CE is taking quite a lot of poking damage now, most importantly from Hanzo and the Junkrat here with cannonballs. So much D-pushing, so much zoning. But if CE is smart, which I think they are, they're going to go for the boss, and they're basically going to catch up for the value that they just lost at the altar.
And this looks to be the plan. Like you said, with Zeratul dead, there's no chance of a Void Prism. Only issue they could have right now is an Astral Communion play at the gameplay. But with Hanzo not looking like he wants a Dragon Arrow and Malfurion miles away, there is going to be no attempt to interrupt this.
Exactly. In the meantime, Shadow Mending, for those of you wondering about that level 20 talent, it's basically the core, the maximum power spike here for Zeratul. This is when he will start to heal for a lot because of all that AoE damage coming in from that slash build.
They move in to the bottom lane, moving forward. Wind looking for his opportunity. Meng would be the perfect target. Groundbreaker, taunt, throw, and dead. Last right, picking up the kill.
Wow. I actually thought that Meng was able to escape there, but I totally forgot about how well Wind plays the Garrosh overall. Using the abilities in the perfect order there, stunning, taunting, and then throwing, buying as much time for his backline to catch up there. And so much damage done by a Lufel on the Zeratul there. That was quite the statement to Hugo.
Zeratul survives, though, and that's good. Shadow Mending healed himself back up to full, and Void Prison yet to be used. Hanzo's a global hero now. This is only going to take one setup global engage from Hanzo to the follow-up for the Void Prison to turn this around. We're going to see at least CE getting their own side. Yeah. Now they're looking to raid. Current numbers advantage in favor of CE as Zeratul harasses interruptions from over the wall. This does look like it will be the intention here. They've attempted Void Prism into the objective. Interrupt last second by the Junkrat.
Yeah, really well done.
Using silence.
Oh, no, this is huge. If they get the kill here, they do. Without Zeratul, once again, they can't fight. This is probably going to bring them down to 1 HP. If CE plays this smart, they're actually going for a Bell Tower now in the top lane, perhaps, and then sealing the deal. 55 seconds is a long time, but they really want to channel this all the way through. Junkrat is no more pokey poke from afar, and this time I think they could have definitely sealed the deal by taking a Bell Tower.
365, absolutely crazy play there. That silence was such a big deal. Dropping it, predicting where Zeratul will come in, catching him right on the edge, preventing Zeratul from wormholing out. That was their chance. That was their engaged tool. And 365 shut that down. Nicely done. And now CE so close to lethal. 2 Zappers, 1 boss, 1 altar. The end game potential is huge as bottom altar goes down. Bottom bell tower, sorry.
Oh, the bell tower is already so weak, and there goes the double sapper. If nothing goes wrong for CE here, Malthael is already on his way. Garrosh joining him as well. And if TheOne can't stop this mercenary onslaught, they might actually drop game number 1 over to their rivals.
The mercenaries begin in, but a kill onto Tassadar here is a big deal, but the silence kills off the Tracer as well. Malfurion, money Twilight Dream, keeping his team in the game. Here's the stun, but down goes Malf, already using the Ice Block. Void Prism is slowing down the assault, setting up for Zuyu, but they're too early with their abilities. Zuyu survives, mercenaries pushing in, Junkrat sieges them down. Riptide push the back of the tank, they're pushing it in, Zuyu is dropped low, in comes he picks up the kill, focus on the mercenaries. They can't afford to lose them at this point. Mercenaries taken out. Bell Tower is alive. They're looking for the kills. If they can kill these off, they can hold on to the game for just a moment. Wind with the stun for the interrupt as in comes Muradin looking for 365. They can't be overly greedy here as Malthael has returned. They're looking for win as Malthael does huge damage as the ultras are spawning in 10 seconds. TheOne need to get both of these or it's all over.
Tetcher, Tracer is coming back, Tassadar is coming back in 10 seconds as well. This might very well overlap with the Ultra timing here. The bottom one should probably go over to Hugo, but don't forget about the poking that Zuyu is able to do. The silence, the last right's taken out Muradin. This could be the nail in the coffin here. CE posturing up at the bottom.
Hanzo's going to have to... Okay, interrupt first from Zeratul. Hanzo has Dragon Arrow. This might have to be the second interrupt. Okay, normal shot for the start. This is a 4 versus 5 now. To save the game of BTG, 45 seconds until Muradin. Dragon Arrow is going to have to be it, but Zuyu's in the perfect position. The Riptide is interrupted. Channel goes through. That is it. GG as game number 1 goes to CE.
Wow, what a finish there. Unfortunately, Muradin got a little too greedy there. He was keeping up the chase despite getting dismounted by the minions. And then it was 365's moment to shine, locking that big old dwarf in that lurking arm. And then it was all